G'day everyone, I'm the Red Scar. This is Red Scar Gaming. Today is my summary, I forgot what that word was, about the 6th draft I've had with my Wilds of Eldraine deck. This is basically Simic Adventures. I've basically used a lot of cards that I've had success with in the past, though maybe I didn't do quite as well as I was hoping, but I mean, still had fun. They're all pretty close games too, so yeah, I'm very happy with that. But yeah, as normal, I'll go through each card and sort of talk about it a bit. Curiosity, I didn't get as much use out of as I'd hoped. I certainly got some advantage from it, like drawing a card just any time is a bonus, and it being in a deck that is a little bit on the higher side anyway. The ability to draw stuff, like even just lands, is certainly helpful. So maybe I didn't really need it, but look, I'll look through a bit later, a bit towards the end in this summary, as to what I would have or should have had instead of it. Ginger Brute. I've seen a lot of other people have more success with Ginger Brute than I did in this particular draft. I certainly wasn't useless, and there was a few times actually that I would have at the very least used him as a chump blocker or sack him for the Hollow Scavenger, which I didn't really get much of a chance to use him well. Maybe that's good luck, maybe that's bad luck. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but either way, I probably should have gone just the one Ginger Brute in this sense, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to do much before turn 3 anyway, so maybe Ginger Brute was not the move I should have been doing. But yeah, I can think about that as much as I want. Titanic Growth, I got a bit of good use out of. In fact, I think it was game 3, 4, that my opponent tried to kill Goose Mother by going neg 4, neg 4, and I instead went, oh, okay, +4 instead. So, yeah, worked very well in that particular sense. I didn't get as much use out of it as I probably hoped otherwise, though it's certainly not a bad card, and yeah, I'm glad I didn't go, say, 3 of them, but yeah, it got some use. Goose Mother herself, she did well. I think it was game 1 I played her the first time, actually, and yeah, played her turn 2. She's even good at that stage. Granted, I'd prefer to pay 3, 4, 5, 6 mana for her, but yeah, she does scale up with the game, so I got to play her quite often. In hindsight, though, I probably didn't need to sacrifice as much food as I had, particularly game 5, I think it was, that I ended up sacking through Goose Mother maybe three foods or something like that. Especially seeing as my opponent was basically chump blocking all the time through those anyway. So yeah, maybe in that circumstance I shouldn't have sacked food, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to tell because I mean you draw a card and you'd be doing it next turn anyway. So Ice Out, I didn't get as much use out of as I have before. I think actually every time I cast it this particular draft, I bargained with it, which may even just be sort of unlucky. Like I put too much mana into my spells maybe, and sort of relied on the bargaining of it. And maybe that was a drawback. Uh, Probably shouldn't have kept it because I didn't actually use it that often and that effectively. Though I'm sure if I hadn't drafted it, I would have needed it 5 turns in a row. Curse of the Werefox once again didn't get as much use out of it as I have before, but there was a few times I got to take out something, and the +1/+1 trample aspect of it actually I didn't get. Without putting too much thought in it, I didn't get the trample use out of it at all. But I mean, it's still a good card. Certainly glad I drafted that one. Hollow Scavenger is certainly one of those ones in this particular deck, especially that I'm just glad I'll probably get every single time. Because yeah, turn 1 create a food token, and you only need turn 3 mana to play it as a pretty damn effective card. Okay, you might not win the game with it every single time, but it's it's sort of your vanilla good card. And yeah, I'll keep drafting that till the cows come home, probably. In fact, if the cows come home, I'll definitely draft that. Troyan might have been able to get a bit more use out of it, because I was going pretty high anyway. But yeah, I probably didn't get quite as much use out of it as I was hoping. I certainly didn't draw a card then discard a card. But maybe that's because I just had too many good cards in hand. Not enough lands, maybe. That's yeah. I'm just brainstorming here, but yeah, I got good use out of Troyan certainly. Chancellor of Tales. I think I said that when I was drafting this that I wanted to be a little bit careful because I drafted it pretty early, and at least at that stage I didn't have much as far as adventure spells. So I did want to be a little bit careful on not relying too much on it. Uh, there was a few times that I played it, I think 3 to 4 times maybe, that I did get to play it and ultimately my opponent destroyed it, but maybe in that sense it was alright to play simply to remove target removal spell, if that makes sense. Uh, but yeah, at least in this case it probably wasn't the best use. Ventress Transmuter, I got to use Croak and Curse pretty often, though at least in this particular draft, I didn't get great use out of that curse, mainly because most of the things I cursed were either pretty small to start with, or they just buffed them up anyway, which, I mean, look, happens regardless of what situation you're in at the time, but this time I didn't get the greatest draft out of it. There was a few times maybe I should have just cast it, or focused casting it, as the 3/4 creature, like forget the adventure part of it. But yeah, it's always a bit. You've always got to be a bit careful doing that. I probably used actually the tap target creature aspect of Croak and Curse more than I did any other part. But I'm not happy or disappointed with that. So yeah, that's good. Eric's Tempting Apple. I didn't get to use it as much as I probably hoped. I have certainly won games with it in the past, by basically grabbing biggest defense, using it to attack. The the fact that it's a food would have, generally speaking, helped. But yeah, I just didn't quite draw it as much as I'd probably hoped. Into the Fey Court, I did have 3 in the deck at some stage, and I'm still pretty damn sure that I made the right decision in putting the third one away. Because look, its 5 mana cost is great. Drawing 3 cards is great, but the 1/1 fairy, as your only board presence otherwise, is a bit uphill. So and yeah, the fairy's good for chump blocking and all that sort of thing, but yeah, you just want to be a little bit careful with that. Agatha's Champion, I did get a fair bit of use out of. I think it was game 1 or 2 maybe, that I got to play him quite effectively. And 4/4 Trample's great regardless of what field you're on really. But yeah, he's good. I certainly didn't rely on him, but yeah, he's fair enough. Balloona's Gatekeeper, I've had a lot of success with that in the past. Entry denied certainly slows your opponent down, look, even if it's just half a turn, but particularly against aggressive decks, it's puts your opponent back a whole turn, and they may not catch up to whatever sort of combo they were trying to do. And it's just a big dumb creature, and I needed a few of those. So yeah, that's a good card, and I'll probably go with more of them. Though I'll just check what I have in the cards that I didn't keep in deck, what I maybe should have put instead of it. Stormcloud Vanguard, I did get use out of Bear Down in particular. Maybe just a bit of unluck, but I played Bear Down either when I had 3 mana available, I think just off the top of my head because I went first, so therefore my opponent played Artifact or Enchantment turn 2, and so for my turn 3 I played third land, played destroyed target Artifact or Enchantment, and thus had basically 1 wasted. Maybe in this case I didn't really need Stormkeld Vanguard, but there were a few times that I did use it, and yeah, there's nothing jumping off the top of my head as far as therefore I won the game, but he's pretty good as a 6/7 creature anyway. Did a fair bit of damage. Virtue of Persistence, that one black card that I splashed in a little bit for, probably didn't get as much use out of it as I was hoping. Though it's 7 mana cost, so you're not going to expect tons out of it anyway. Because it's basically destroy target small creature and gain 2 life. I think probably most of the time in this particular case, actually the gain 2 life was most useful for me. Though the -3 certainly didn't hurt. I didn't get much use out of the Is there a technical name for that, like the super ability or something? The other half that got target creature out of the graveyard. I think I'd pretty much already won by then most of the time, but yeah, having those options is certainly good. As far as lands are concerned, maybe I shouldn't have kept Virtue of Persistence simply so I didn't have those swamps. I don't think they got in the way, really. Crystal Grotto certainly helped. The Scry 1 aspect of that probably helped the most. I think it was only game 5 that I had to actually convert the colour of any mana at any stage, but yeah, it's certainly not a bad card. And as far as cards that I kept in the sideboard, Protective Parents, yeah, look, it's a good card, but I don't think I would have splashed white over black in this circumstance. Aquatic Alchemist, actually, a few of my opponents used it quite effectively, but at least in this sort of lineup, I don't think I would have been able to do it effectively, though maybe I could have played it simply as a 1/3 instead of, say, Gingerbrute, to get me that extra turn, extra chump blocker, that would have been able to block a few 1/1s or something like that. So yeah, maybe next time I try that instead of Gingerbrute. Disdainful Stroke, in the similar way that I didn't use Ice Out as effectively as I'd maybe hoped, Disdainful Stroke's really good, but it's only 2 mana for a somewhat specific threat, and at least in this deck, anything with mana 4 or greater is my area of domain to some extent. Freeze in Place I maybe could have used actually, because there were a few times that it was used quite effectively against me. Game 2 I think actually, my opponent did very well with it. The 3 I think it was. Anyway, I might have been able to go with that instead of Eret's Tempting Apple, maybe. Because yeah, would have slowed my opponent down or opened up a gap for me to attack him, or maybe even Virtue of Persistence. But yeah, I don't want to clutch at that too many times. Living Lectern is still not a good card, but I suppose if I had to put it in, probably take out a Gingerbrute in this circumstance. Spell Stutter, maybe I should have kept that in instead of Ice Out, because as I said, I think I actually used Bargain on Ice Out maybe a few too many times than I should have. So Spell Starter in that case might have been better. That and Eret's Tempting Apple, or even Curiosity, might have been a good call. Might, but yeah, it's a bit situations arise. Stormkeld Prowler, it got used pretty well against me actually. I think I versed it twice and it got up to even a 5/4. But yeah, maybe I could have used it. But yeah, playing it turn 2 and not being sure that you've got anything mana 5 or greater, yeah, I suppose you only have to trigger it once, and it's a 2 mana 3/2, so it's not bad. So maybe instead of Ice Out or something like that, to be more on the aggressive side. But yeah, I've got to be careful doing that too much. Yeah, I've already sort of talked about Into the Fey Court. Wicked Visitor, yeah, as I said when I was drafting it, look, I'm not going to keep that in just for the 1 black, basically. Though I did consider Dark Tutelage. I'm, with the power of hindsight, I'm very glad I didn't take that, because most of those games, the ones I won anyway, I won with, say, 3 life left. So there probably would have been a few circumstances there where Dark Tutelage would have ultimately killed me. So I'm pretty glad I didn't go with that in that case. Commune with Nature. That's actually one of the ones that I might have been able to go with. Yeah, though, because it's reveal a creature card, and it has to be a creature, not a creature or land or something like that. Maybe if I was going a bit more, say, just off the top of my head, say 2 more Titanic Growth, or I'd put Leaping Ambush in instead of some of the creatures. Maybe that would have been the choice to go. But yeah, I mostly needed land of some description, or the ability to draw most of the time. Leaping Ambush, flyers didn't seem to be too much of a problem in this particular case, either because I had Goose Mother or one of these chump blockers up. So yeah, perhaps in this case, Leaping Ambush wouldn't have been particularly useful. It's certainly a good card when you use it properly, though. Ground Seal, I was certainly considering it in the main board, but yeah, as I said when I drafted it, though, it's pretty much just probably going to be 2-mana draw a card. Thanks for playing, but there's the one or two times that cards in graveyard can't be the target's spells or abilities is very good, though I don't think my opponents got much use out of it. So yeah, definitely, at least in this case, Ground Seal over Virtue of Persistence. Spider Food, I think I was considering at some stage basically that instead of Stormcast Vanguard. I'm sure there would have been a time that had I drawn Spider Food at the right time, it would have been really good. But yeah, that's just sort of power of hindsight stuff. Creating the food token would have been useful, though, I suppose. And yeah, certainly not a third Gingerbrute, because yeah, 2 might have been too many. But yeah, ultimately, I'm certainly entertained with how that deck went, because as I said, it went pretty dang close most of the time. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you can learn from all that, and I'll see you next time.